Welcome back. We are starting a brand new Bible reading plan today, this time through 1st and 2nd Samuel. Now, in your Bible, if you're reading along, you are going to see that these are listed as two separate books. But way back when they were first written, these were always intended to be two books read together. The only reason they were separated was because of scroll length. It's easier to carry around a smaller scroll. There was a nice little point of division, and so they made these two separate books. That's how they're listed in your Bible. But from the beginning, these were meant to be read exactly like we have here. And you might, after carrying this around for 2 months, wish that they were two separate books. But here's the thing I want to do today. As we kick off this plan, I just want to give you a little bit of the backstory leading up to where this book picks up, because I think it's important for the message of this book overall. Now, if you flip back in your Bible, what you're going to find before the books of 1st and 2nd Samuel is Ruth. For people in Jesus' day, the Hebrew Bible that he would have had, you would find the book of Judges that came before this. And that's because the period of the kings, starting in 1st and 2nd Samuel, butted right up against the period of the Judges, which is a pretty chaotic, rocky time in Israel's history. So there's a pattern or a cycle you could think of that really characterizes the period of the Judges. Israel had come out of slavery in Egypt. They'd been formed at Mount Sinai. Finally, they cross over the Jordan River and enter into the land. Only things don't go well for them. They end up fighting and warring with all these neighboring tribes and nations. And the pattern goes a little bit like this. Israel turns away from God. God hands them over to these oppressive forces. They experience this time in oppression under a foreign occupying nation. Israel cries out to God from their oppression. God raises up this deliverer, a judge, a leader, and they rescue the people from oppression. The people cry out to God in thanksgiving and love. There's a period of peace where everything seems to be going well again until the people fall. They turn back away from God. God hands them over to a new oppressor, and the cycle repeats itself over and over and over again. And all throughout the period of Judges, there are two refrains that repeat itself over and over again. This first one 4 times. 4 times throughout the book of Judges, we're told, Israel had no king. They needed a king. They needed a king. Israel has no king to guide them. 4 times over and over. So what message are you left with? Israel needs a king, which is why this perfectly opens to the book of Samuel. The other refrain that repeats again and again and again through Judges leading up to this book, everyone does whatever is right in their own eyes. So they don't have a king, they do whatever they want, and it leads to clearly the cycle of chaos. And so if there's one thing that this book is all about, it's the fact that Israel needs a king. And who is going to be that leader? 1st and 2nd Samuel is a story about 2 kings. It's the story of a rise and fall of 2 kings. One is King Saul, the king that was asked for. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. And then the second king is King David, the one that God chooses. So we have a king that the people choose and a king that God chooses. And we're going to watch the interweavings of these dynamics as these 2 kings have these meteoric rises and moments of promise and hope. And then they both crash and burn. And what this is meant to do is just echoing that same question as the Judges. Israel needs a king. Who is going to lead the people? Who is the king that they need? And what it leaves us with for the Hebrew Bible is the hope of a Messiah, the hope of the Christ, the one who would come and lead God's people in faithfulness, deliver them from their oppressors, and enter them into the true promised land that would last forever. What it does for us, all these thousands of years later, is not all that different. It's the question I would ask you now. Who is king over your life? Who's leading you? Now, for us, that's a complex question, right? Because we don't live in a monarchy. Well, those of us in America here don't live in a monarchy. People watching from all over the world, your situation might be different. But for a majority of us, we don't have a king in the same way that Saul and King David were kings. But who is ruling over you? There's probably a lot of different factors that answer that question, whether you would think of your employer as in some way, shape, form ruling over you, your parents. Maybe it's a belief system that you have or an ideology that you subscribe to. Or maybe, if you're anything like me, the number one person ruling over you is you. You're the king of your life. You decide what's right and what's good, whatever is right in your eyes. And what I hope that you'll do as you read this book is just think about that question. Who ought to be the king, the ruler over your life? Are you really the best ruler? Or is there someone else that we should be placing our trust and our hope in? This is the message that the Israelites are going to find out all throughout this book, is that the earthly kings they want, the ones that they turn to, the ones they put their hope in, let them down time and time again. Even King David, who starts off with so much hope and so much promise. And so they're left aching for the one who they can put their trust and hope in. Who is that for you? And I hope that you will see as we enter into the end of this plan, into the next ones as we study the book of Matthew in January, that really the only one who is fit to be king of your life is King Jesus. That's the message that we are starting this reading plan off with. It's the one I hope carries you through this whole 2-part volume as we study together. If there's anything we can do to make it easier for you to read with us, let us know. But we are so excited to start this journey with you, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.